You are more conditioned than you think. In fact, individuality might just be the illusion. Our society functions eerily close to ants and bees, a eusocial species. Eusocial species are defined by a rigid division of labor and a collective instinct that prioritizes the hive over the self. But ants do not question their purpose. Bees don't lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering who they are. Something went wrong with us. We call it individuality. But what if it's actually just instability, normalized? And if that is true, then who or what are we really? This friction has a name: cognitive dissonance. It is the mental discomfort that flares up when we hold two conflicting beliefs or behaviors at the same time. We are told we are special, that we are individuals with unique purposes, but the moment we clock in, that reality shifts. We put on the same uniforms and perform repetitive tasks. We are told that religion and politics are off limits, effectively silencing the very things that define our personal identities. The company functions with perfect mechanical efficiency, but is fueled by our stolen time, effort, and drive. It leaves us with a haunting question. Is our creativity and passion actually building a cohesive society, or is the pressure of the hive making it collapse? We are told that our quirks are what make us human. The stray daydreams, the sting of an embarrassing memory, our bottomless need for purpose. We call this depth. We are told it's normal. But what if these traits aren't features? What if they're bugs? What if the very things that make us individuals, our self-interest, our messy emotions, our wandering minds, are actually the things hurting us? In a world designed for the collective, our individuality might not just be a gift. It might be the defect that makes the whole machine grind to a halt. Take a look around. What do you actually see? You see institutional surveillance, the slow rot of social erosion, and a kind of policed multiculturalism that feels more like management than community. You hear whispers of shadow elites and secret societies. Not so much whispers anymore, more like anger-fueled venting now. Many of us, the ones who gravitate toward conspiracy theories, are often dismissed, but at our core, we are simply reacting to a profound loss. We aren't just chasing ghosts. We are mourning the death of our society, our privacy, and our fundamental freedom. Humans are trapped in a state of constant internal noise. Even our conflicts lack a clear, honest purpose. We hide behind grand narratives. They have weapons of mass destruction. They want to take our freedom, or we must liberate the oppressed. And then there are the religious wars, endless circular arguments where there is never one simple answer. We take the simple and make it exhausting, because in every conflict there is only one objective: resources. That is the raw truth about war. Even you social creatures like ants and bees go to war. In nature, conflict is biologically necessary, but humans turn it into something it is not. We wrap greed in ideology and call it intelligence. But it isn't intelligence, it's a malfunction. Day-to-day life appears seamless, but this efficiency exists at a steep price: the systematic suppression of our traumatic experiences and our truest needs. To keep the gears turning, we have to push our own awareness into the shadows. In a healthy organization, individual components communicate and work independently toward a shared goal. But in our society, that communication has been severed. We function not because we are healthy, but because we have learned to keep the most human parts of ourselves out of conscious awareness. This is what we call broken awareness. It is a fundamental failure to perceive reality, creating a dangerous disconnect between the system's actions and the environment it lives in. On an individual level, we see this as functional freeze. You appear to be working, moving, and contributing, but internally, you are operating in a state of total numbness, a detachment from reality fueled by chronic anxiety and buried trauma. You have lost the awareness of your own emotional state. But research suggests this isn't just a personal flaw, it is a systemic collapse. A system is broken when it fails to provide its participants with the information they need to stay safe. When the society stops communicating the truth, the individuals start making fatal errors, no matter how hard they try to function. You social species synchronize their movement and activity cycles with effortless precision. And while brain scans show that human heart rates and natural activity can sync up, much like rock bands and dance crews, our obsession with individualism constantly shatters that harmony. The difference lies in the rules. Humans and ants both follow local rules to navigate space, but human decision making is corrupted by ego. Our sensory modality is incredibly accurate, yet we are blinded by our own noise. Think about how often we bump into things or cause accidents because we are buried in our phones. These hazards would vanish if we prioritized a simple collective good. Nothing grandiose, just the shared goal of getting everyone home safely. Human crowds are naturally flexible and egalitarian, yet our work remains chaotic friction. Why? Because our species is the only species that constantly demands a different job than the ones we are given. You social species don't have to decide, they simply accept and execute. They don't require a sense of self to function. In fact, for them, a personal identity would only be friction. In a colony, the individual is just a cell in a larger superorganism, performing its specific role without question or hesitation. We, however, are a species possessed by the idea of who we are. We obsess over the purpose and our positions while ironically being the ones who are barely functioning. We struggle to synchronize because we are too busy resenting the roles we have been given. We are the only creatures on Earth who want to constantly be someone else. In existential psychology, freedom isn't just a gift, it's a burden. It means there is no fixed instruction for who you are supposed to be. To escape that crushing weight, many of us disconnect. We drift into dissociation or we live in bad faith, pretending we have no choice, just so we don't have to carry the responsibility of having one. This creates a grand canyon between our true potential and our lived reality. We are trapped, even when we are free. We call this personality, but how stable is it really? Here's my hypothesis. Humans were meant to be a eusocial species. We were designed for the harmony of our society, but generations of unaddressed trauma and systematic neglect of our mental health have triggered a prolonged mass psychosis. This isn't just hindering our evolution, it is reversing it. We are beginning to shed the complex features that once defined our humanity. Between the numbing glow of smartphones and the algorithms of modern technology, our higher intelligence is becoming obsolete. We are being hollowed out. And in this void, a new hierarchy emerges as the masses regress into a state of tech-driven dependency. The leaders, the shadow elites, will be the only ones left to retain the intelligence, the agency, the self that we once held so dear. We are not just losing our freedom, we are losing the very capacity to be humans. So where did this fracture begin? Was it a natural stage of our evolution or a catastrophic mistake? Are we simply witnessing the latest symptoms of decay that started centuries ago? And if so, are we getting worse? If our entire society was built on a fracture, then the real question isn't how we survive. It's what broke us in the first place.